The stars burned cold in the Zephyros system, where 15 alien territories met at a crossroads of space. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the EDS Constellation, staring at the tactical display that showed nothing but empty space. His fleet hung in the dark, waiting for orders that he knew would come soon. Behind him, Commander Lisa Grant checked her station for the third time in 10 minutes. "Still quiet," she said. Her voice carried the same tension everyone felt. Jake nodded. He was 52 years old with gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too many battles. This time felt different. The reports coming from intelligence painted a dark picture. The Krillin Empire was moving, and they were moving fast. Across the galaxy, the Krillins had been conquering worlds for 300 years. They came in massive fleets, took what they wanted, and left entire civilizations in ruins. Dozens of species had fallen to their warships. Dozens more had surrendered without firing a shot. The Krillins were strong, and they knew it. Earth had tried talking first. That was always the human way. Diplomats sent messages asking for peace, offering trade, suggesting cooperation. The Krillin response came back cold and clear. Humans were primitives. Earth was barely worth noticing. The Empire would take what it wanted when it wanted. Jake had read the diplomatic files himself. The Krillin High Command dismissed humans as another weak species playing at space travel. They looked at Earth's military and laughed. One report said humans were technologically inferior and strategically irrelevant. That report was 3 weeks old. 2 days ago, everything changed. The colony world of New Haven sent a distress signal. Krillin ships were coming. 300 warships, maybe more. The largest armada the Empire had assembled in decades. They were heading straight for human territory, and they were not slowing down. Jake's fleet was the closest. The 7th Expeditionary Fleet, 12 ships. Not many compared to what was coming, but they were good ships with good crews. He trusted every captain under his command. "Sir, we're getting updated scans from the probe network," Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez called from her station. She was young, barely 25, but sharp as a knife. Her fingers flew across her controls. "Krillin fleet has entered the outer system. Confirmed count is 347 vessels." 347. Jake felt the number settle in his gut like a stone. Behind him, he heard someone whistle low. "How long until they reach New Haven?" he asked. 6 hours at their current speed, Amy said. "And how long until we can intercept?" 4 hours if we push the engines." Jake looked at the display again. New Haven was home to 2 million people. Families, children, people who came to the colony looking for a fresh start. They had farms and schools and little houses under an orange sky. They trusted Earth to protect them. "Set course for intercept," he said. "Maximum speed. Send a message to New Haven. Tell them we're coming." Lisa moved to his side. She kept her voice low. "Jake, we're outnumbered 30 to 1. "I know. We could wait for reinforcements. New Haven doesn't have time to wait." She studied his face for a moment, then nodded. "Then we better make these 12 ships count." The fleet jumped to warp speed. Space twisted around them as they raced toward the Krillin Armada. Inside the constellation, the crew worked with quiet efficiency. Everyone knew what was waiting for them. Everyone went to their stations anyway. In the Krillin fleet, High Sentinel Vaxthor stood in his command chamber aboard the massive warship Eternal Dominion. He was tall even for a Krillin, with dark purple skin and 3 eyes that gleamed with intelligence. Golden armor covered his chest, marked with symbols of his rank and victories. Behind him, tactical displays showed the human colony growing closer. "War Leader Thornak," he said. "Status report." Thornak approached and bowed. He was a soldier scarred from 100 battles. "The colony has no significant defenses, High Sentinel. Their orbital stations are armed with basic weapons only. We will sweep them aside easily." "And their fleet?" Sensors detected one small group of ships moving to intercept. 12 vessels total. Vaxthor's middle eye narrowed. 12 ships? That is their response? "Yes, High Sentinel. It appears humans do not understand the situation." A laugh echoed through the command chamber. Vaxthor gestured at the displays showing his armada. 347 warships against 12. These humans are either brave or foolish. I suspect foolish. "Shall we destroy them when they arrive?" Thornak asked. "Of course. But first, let us offer them a chance to surrender. I am curious to see if they have any sense at all." Vaxthor turned to his communications officer. "When the human ships arrive, open a channel. I will speak to their commander personally. Perhaps we can teach these primitives a lesson about power." The Krillin fleet continued forward, weapons charging, shields raised. Vaxthor felt satisfied. This would be another easy victory. Another species would learn to kneel before the Empire. The humans would see their tiny fleet shattered, their colony burning, and they would understand their place in the galaxy. 4 hours passed. Jake stood on his bridge, watching the tactical display update as they dropped out of warp. There it was, the Krillin armada spread across space like a swarm of metal insects. 347 ships, all bigger than anything in his fleet. Full scan, he ordered. I want to know everything about those ships. The crew worked fast. Data streamed across their screens. Krillin vessels were old designs built for overwhelming firepower. Heavy armor, strong shields, lots of weapons. They relied on numbers and brute force. Sir, we're being hailed, the communications officer said. It's the Krillin flagship. Put it through. The view screen changed. Vaxthor appeared, looking down at Jake with obvious contempt. When he spoke, the translation software made his voice sound smooth and dangerous. I am High Sentinel Vaxthor, Supreme Commander of the Krillin Imperial Fleet. You command the human ships? Admiral Jake Morrison, Earth Defense Force. Admiral Morrison, I will speak plainly. You see my fleet. You see your fleet. The mathematics are simple. Surrender now, and I will allow your crews to live as prisoners. Refuse, and I will destroy you, then burn your colony to ash. You have 1 minute to decide. Jake felt every eye on the bridge turn to him. He straightened his uniform and looked directly at the Krillin commander. High Sentinel Vaxthor, I will also speak plainly. You are in human territory without permission. You are threatening human lives. Turn your fleet around and leave this system. You have 1 minute to decide. For a moment, Vaxthor simply stared. Then he began to laugh. It was not a pleasant sound. You dare give me ultimatums? You command 12 ships against my armada. Are all humans this foolish? You'll find out soon enough, Jake said calmly. Your minute is up. What's your decision? Vaxthor's laughter stopped. His 3 eyes went cold. Destroy them, the channel cut. Jake turned to his crew. All ships, battle stations. Weapons free. Show them what humans can do. The battle was about to begin. The first Krillin missiles launched like a wave of metal and fire. Hundreds of them streaking across the dark toward the 12 human ships. On the Constellation's bridge, alarms blared as the tactical display lit up with incoming threats. Missiles inbound, Amy Rodriguez called out. Count is over 400 and climbing. Captain Ben Carter watched from the bridge of his destroyer, the EDS Vigilant. His ship was smaller than the flagship, built for speed and precision. He was 40 years old, a career military man who had trained his whole life for moments like this. Steady, he told his crew. Wait for it. The missiles came closer. 300 kilometers, 200, 100. Any other fleet would have opened fire by now, wasting ammunition on panicked shots. Ben waited. Point defense systems active, his weapons officer said. Locked and tracking. Fire. The Vigilant's defensive guns came alive. They were different from anything the Krillins had seen before. Magnetic accelerators that could track and fire faster than conventional weapons. Each gun spat out metal rounds at incredible speeds, adjusted by computers that calculated trajectories in microseconds. Across the human fleet, every ship did the same. The space between the two forces filled with defensive fire. Krillin missiles began exploding before they could reach their targets. One after another, they detonated in bright flashes. The few that made it through hit human shields and dissipated harmlessly. On the Eternal Dominion, Thornak stared at his display in confusion. High Sentinel, the missiles are not reaching their targets. Human defensive systems are more effective than predicted. Vaxthor leaned forward in his command throne. More effective? We fired over 600 missiles. How many ships did we destroy? None, High Sentinel. None? Vaxthor's voice rose. How is that possible? I do not know. Their point defense is faster than our systems can track, and their shields appear to be regenerating between hits. Vaxthor's 3 eyes narrowed. Then we use the main guns. All ships open fire. Overwhelming force. Bury them in firepower. The Krillin armada responded. Energy beams and plasma bolts filled the space. It was a beautiful and terrible sight. 300 ships firing at once. Enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. All of it focused on 12 human vessels. Jake gripped the arms of his command chair as the Constellation shook. Enemy fire hammered their shields. The lights flickered. Somewhere in the ship, something exploded. Shield status, he barked. Shields holding at 70%, Lisa reported. Some damage to the outer hull. Nothing critical. Return fire. All batteries. The constellation had weapons the Krillins did not expect. Railguns. Massive magnetic accelerators that hurled solid metal slugs at a fraction of light speed. No fancy energy fields. No complex plasma. Just pure kinetic force. When a railgun round hit something, it hit hard. The flagship's main guns fired. The rounds were invisible until they struck. The first one hit a Krillin cruiser dead center. The slug punched through the shields like they were paper, tore through the armor, and came out the other side. The cruiser broke apart, atmosphere and debris spilling into space. Ben Carter's Vigilant joined in. His ship was smaller but carried 6 railguns of its own. He targeted a Krillin destroyer and fired a full salvo. 3 rounds hit. The destroyer exploded in a ball of fire. Target down, his weapons officer reported. Acquiring next target. Keep firing, Ben said. Don't give them time to adjust. Across the human fleet, the pattern repeated. Human ships moved with precision, their computers coordinating fire to take down Krillin vessels one at a time. The Krillins fought back hard, but their weapons could not penetrate human shields effectively. Meanwhile, every human shot that landed caused massive damage. War leader Thornak watched his tactical display with growing horror. Red icons appeared one after another as his ships took damage or were destroyed completely. The humans were moving too fast, shooting too accurately. This was not how battles were supposed to go. High Sentinel, we have lost 15 ships. No, 20 ships. Enemy fire is devastating our formations. Vaxthor stood from his throne. This could not be happening. Not to the Krillin Empire. Not to him. How many human ships have we destroyed? None, High Sentinel. We have damaged 3 of them, but none are disabled. This is impossible. They are primitives. They should not have weapons like this. But they do, Thornak said quietly. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez worked her station with focused intensity. The battle was chaos around her, but she kept her mind on her job. Target acquisition, fire control, damage assessment. She was good at her job, and right now that mattered more than fear. Targeting the lead cruiser on the left flank, she said. Firing. The constellation's railguns spoke again. 2 Krillin ships exploded. Amy allowed herself a small smile before moving to the next target. Jake watched the battle unfold. His fleet was winning, but he took no pleasure in it. Every destroyed Krillin ship meant lives lost. Crews who thought they were serving their empire. Families who would never see them again. War was ugly even when you were winning. How many have we lost? He asked Lisa. 43 enemy ships destroyed, 31 heavily damaged. We've taken hits across all vessels, but everyone is still combat effective. Vigilant reports some system damage, but Captain Carter says they can keep fighting. Casualties? 12 injured. None dead so far, Jake nodded, so far. But the battle was not over. Ryan Hughes sat at his station running electronic warfare operations. He was 33, thin and nervous looking, but his mind was sharp. While the others focused on shooting, he focused on disrupting. His systems sent out electromagnetic pulses and computer viruses designed to confuse Krillin sensors. Deploying countermeasures, he said, targeting their communication network. The Krillin fleet began to experience problems. Ships lost contact with each other. Targeting systems showed false readings. Orders from the flagship got scrambled. The confusion spread through their ranks like a disease. What is happening? Vaxthor demanded. Why are our systems failing? Some kind of electronic attack, High Sentinel. The humans are disrupting our networks. Then shut down the networks and fight independently. That will reduce our coordination by 70%. We are already losing coordination. Do it. The Krillins adapted, but the damage was done. Their formations broke apart. Ships scattered, each trying to fight alone. The human fleet stayed tight, working together with smooth precision. Deep in the constellation's engineering section, Kate Sullivan kept the ship running. She was the damage control chief, 45 years old with grease on her hands and determination in her eyes. When systems failed, she fixed them. When hull breaches threatened, she sealed them. Her crew worked like machines, moving from one crisis to the next. Rerouting power from auxiliary systems, she called over the comm. Bridge, you should have full shields again in 30 seconds. Understood, Jake's voice came back. Good work, Kate. She did not have time to respond. Another hit rocked the ship and alarms blared in Section 7. She grabbed her tools and ran. The battle continued for 2 more hours. The Krillins tried everything. They attempted flanking maneuvers. They concentrated fire on single targets. They even sent small attack craft to swarm the human ships. Nothing worked. Human fighters launched and cut through the attack craft with ease. Human shields held against concentrated fire. Human weapons kept destroying Krillin vessels one by one. Vaxthor stood in his command chamber surrounded by failure. His tactical display showed the truth he did not want to accept. 50 ships destroyed, 70 damaged. The human fleet still intact. Still fighting, still winning, High Sentinel, Thornak said carefully. We should consider retreat. We can regroup, analyze their tactics, and return with better strategies. Retreat? Vaxthor's voice was dangerous. The Krillin Empire does not retreat from primitives. These are not primitives. Look at the battle. They are defeating us, Vaxthor wanted to argue, wanted to demand victory. But he was not a fool. The evidence was clear. His fleet was dying and the humans showed no signs of stopping. Signal all ships, he said finally. Fall back to defensive positions. Prepare for tactical withdrawal. The Krillin fleet began to pull back, forming a tighter defensive sphere. The human fleet did not pursue. They held position, weapons ready, but they did not fire unless fired upon. On the Constellation's bridge, Jake watched the Krillins retreat. He felt tired, relieved, angry that it had come to this at all. Should we press the attack? Lisa asked. No, we proved our point. Let them think about what they've seen. A strange quiet fell over the battlefield. Ships drifted in space. Debris floated where Krillin vessels once flew. Both sides watched each other across the dark, neither moving. Vaxthor contacted his intelligence division. Find everything we have on humanity, everything. I want to know who these creatures are. The answer came back 20 minutes later. The intelligence officer's voice was shaken. High Sentinel. Humans come from a planet designated as Class 12 Death World. Gravity is high. Climate is unstable. The planet has produced an aggressive, adaptable species with high pain tolerance and extreme persistence. A Death World species? Vaxthor felt something cold settle in his chest. The galaxy had very few Death World species. They were rare. They were dangerous. Why was this information not in our initial reports? It was, High Sentinel. In the footnotes. The analysis team dismissed it as irrelevant. The silence stretched for an hour. 2 fleets faced each other across the void, neither making the first move. Jake Morrison used the time well. His ships were damaged but functional. Shields were recharging, weapons were reloading. His crew worked without stopping to patch holes in repair systems. Damage report, he said to Lisa. She read from her display, all ships responding. The Vigilant took the worst of it. Hull breaches on 3 decks, but Captain Carter has them sealed. We lost 2 railgun batteries. Everyone else is at 70% combat effectiveness or better. And our ammunition? Railgun rounds at 60%. Energy weapons fully charged. We can keep fighting if we need to. Jake nodded. That was good. But he knew the math. Even with their advantages, facing over 300 ships would eventually overwhelm them. They needed a better solution. Open a channel to the Krillin flagship, he said. Let's try talking again. Across the space between them, Vaxthor received the communication request. He stared at it for a long moment. Pride told him to refuse. Wisdom told him to listen. For once, he chose wisdom. Open the channel, he ordered. Jake's face appeared on the view screen. Vaxthor studied the human commander. He looked tired but determined. His eyes showed intelligence and something else. Compassion, perhaps. That was unexpected, High Sentinel, Jake said. We don't want to keep fighting. Leave the system peacefully and no more ships need to die today. Vaxthor felt anger rise in his chest. You lecture me about death? You destroyed 50 of my ships, guard, because you attacked us. We defended ourselves. There's a difference. You are outnumbered and surrounded. Even if your ships are more advanced, we still have superior numbers. Eventually you will fall. Jake smiled, but it was not a happy expression. Maybe. But how many more ships will you lose finding out? 100? 200? Is this colony worth that price? The question hung in the air. Vaxthor had no good answer. He cut the channel without responding. War Leader Thornak, he said. Analyze their ships. Find a weakness we can exploit. Thornak bowed. Already done, High Sentinel. Their shields regenerate quickly, but draw heavy power. If we can force them to maintain shields while engaging from multiple directions, we can drain their resources. Their point defense is excellent but not infinite. A sustained missile barrage from all sides might overwhelm them, and their ships are smaller than ours. They may have less endurance in a long battle. Then we force a long battle. All ships prepare for sustained engagement. Fighter wings launch. We will swarm them until they break. The Krillin fleet came to life again. Thousands of small attack craft launched from carrier ships. They were fast and maneuverable, designed to overwhelm defenses with sheer numbers. Behind them, the main fleet advanced slowly, weapons charging. On the constellation, alarms warned of the new attack. Enemy fighters launching, Amy reported. Count is over 3,000. 3,000, Lisa repeated. Jake, our fighters are good, but we only have 200 of them. I know. Launch all fighters. Tell them to engage at will. And someone get me Commander Chris Palmer. Commander Chris Palmer was already in his cockpit when the call came. He was 38, a pilot since he was 20, and the best fighter commander in the fleet. His squadron was called the Ghost Wing, named for how they appeared and disappeared in battle. Palmer here, he said over the comm. Chris, we're about to be swarmed. Can you handle it? Chris checked his displays. 3,000 enemy fighters. His 200 against all of that. He grinned. We'll make it work, Admiral. Ghostwing, form on me. Let's show these aliens how humans fly. The human fighters launched. They were sleek and fast, with powerful engines and advanced weapons. Each pilot was trained to think independently while working as part of a team. The Krillins relied on numbers and basic tactics. The humans relied on skill. Chris led his wing straight into the enemy formation. Krillin fighters moved to intercept. The two forces met in a chaotic dance of metal and fire. Chris targeted the first enemy fighter and fired. His guns were fast and accurate. The Krillin ship exploded. He rolled left, avoided return fire, came up behind another enemy and destroyed it too. Around him, his pilots did the same. Stay mobile, he called over the squadron channel. Don't let them pin you down. Use your speed. Human fighters moved through the battle like sharks through water. They were faster than the Krillin craft, more agile, better armed. Each human pilot took down multiple enemies before breaking away and repositioning. The Krillins tried to swarm individual targets, but the humans simply outmaneuvered them. This is Ghost 7, a pilot called. I've got 4 on my tail. Ghost 7, break right. Ghost 3, you're clear to assist. On it. The coordination was beautiful to watch. Human pilots worked together without thinking about it, covering each other, setting up ambushes, leading enemies into traps. The Krillins had numbers, but numbers meant nothing if you could not hit your target. While the fighter battle raged, the main fleets engaged again. This time the Krillins tried a different approach. Their ships split into 3 groups and attacked from different directions. Missiles launched in waves one after another, giving the human point defense no rest. Kate Sullivan felt the constellation shake as hits got through the defensive screen. She was in Engineering Bay 2, welding a cracked plasma conduit while alarms blared around her. Bridge, this is Sullivan. We're taking damage faster than we can repair it. I need the shields to hold longer between hits. We're working on it, Lisa's voice came back. Can you give me more power to the forward shields? I can give you more power, or I can keep life support running. Pick one. Life support. Keep us breathing. Kate laughed despite the situation. Good choice. She finished the weld and moved to the next problem. Being a damage control chief meant running from crisis to crisis, fixing what broke, patching what cracked, keeping the ship alive through sheer determination. She loved her job even when it tried to kill her. Ryan Hughes was fighting his own battle at the electronic warfare station. The Krillins had adapted to his first attacks, so he changed tactics. Instead of disrupting their communications, he fed them false information. Fake sensor readings showing human ships where there were none. False damage reports making them think hits were more effective than they were. Deploying Information Warfare Package 3, he said. Let's see how they like this. Krillin ships began targeting empty space, wasting ammunition on ghost images. Others held fire, thinking their weapons were malfunctioning. Confusion spread through their ranks again. Vaxthor screamed at his officers to fix the problems, but they could not fix what they could not see. The battle intensified. More Krillin ships fell to human railguns. More fighters exploded in the dogfights, but the humans were taking damage too. The Vigilant lost another railgun battery. 2 other destroyers reported critical damage to their engines. Casualties started mounting. We've got injured on decks 4 and 7, the medical officer reported to Jake. Multiple wounded. I need more medical supplies. Do what you can, Jake said. We'll get through this, but he was not sure that was true. The Krillins were learning, adapting. They might be slower than humans, but they had numbers and they were not giving up. Every minute the battle continued made it harder to hold them off. Chris Palmer's fighter took a hit. Alarm screamed in his cockpit. One engine was failing. His shields were down to 20%. He was alive, but barely. Ghost Leader is hit, he reported. Engine 2 is gone. I'm pulling back. Negative, Ghost Leader, came a voice, one of his pilots. We've got you covered. Stay in the fight. 3 more human fighters formed around him, protecting his damaged craft while he limped toward the Constellation's hangar. That was what made them strong. No one fought alone. Everyone looked out for each other. Vax Thor watched the battle from his command throne. The numbers looked better now. The humans were taking damage. Their fighters were being pushed back. Victory was possible if he just kept the pressure on. Status of the human flagship, he demanded. Shields are fluctuating. Hull damage detected. They are weakening, High Sentinel. Good, concentrate all fire on that ship. If we destroy their command vessel, the rest will break. 50 Krillin ships turned their weapons on the Constellation. Energy beams and plasma bolts converged on Jake's flagship. The shields flared bright, absorbing hit after hit. Then they failed. Shields down, Lisa shouted. Brace for impact. The next volley hit bare hull. Armor plating buckled. Explosions ripped through 3 decks. The bridge shook so hard that Jake was thrown from his chair. Sparks flew from control panels. The lights went out for 5 seconds before emergency power kicked in. Damage report, Jake called as he pulled himself up. Multiple hull breaches. We've lost weapons batteries 2 and 5. Shields are trying to regenerate, but it's taking time. Lisa's voice was strained. Jake, we can't take another hit like that. Jake looked at his tactical display. His fleet was still fighting, but they were at the breaking point. The Krillins knew it too. They were pressing harder, sensing victory. He opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Morrison. I know we're hurt. I know we're tired. But New Haven is counting on us. Hold the line. We're not done yet, his crew responded. Every ship, every captain, every pilot, they all said the same thing. Understood, Admiral. We're with you. The sensor displays across the Krillin fleet lit up with warnings. 11 new warp signatures, massive energy readings, ships emerging from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Zephyros system. Every Krillin officer stared at their screens in disbelief. Confirm those readings, Vax Thor ordered. His voice was steady, but his hands gripped the arms of his throne too tightly. Are they human vessels? Confirmed, High Sentinel. Energy signatures match human technology. They are human fleets. Multiple fleets. How many ships total? The sensor officer worked her controls with shaking fingers. Still counting, High Sentinel. Preliminary count is over 200 vessels. No. More than that. The numbers are still climbing. On the Constellation's bridge, Jake Morrison allowed himself a small smile. He had been waiting for this moment. Hoping for it. Now it was here. All human vessels, this is Morrison. Maintain current positions. Let our guests see what's coming. Lisa Grant stared at the tactical display where 11 fleet markers appeared. You knew they were coming. I hoped they were coming, Jake corrected. Earth sent them 3 days ago when we first detected the Krillin buildup. They've been burning hard to get here. Why didn't you tell anyone? Because I needed everyone to fight like this was all we had. And they did. He looked at his battered fleet with pride. They all did. Alex Turner stepped onto the bridge. He was the diplomatic officer assigned to the 7th Fleet, a quiet man in his 50s who preferred talking to shooting. He had stayed silent during the battle, but now his moment had come. Admiral, shall I make the announcement? He asked. Go ahead, Alex, it's your show now. Alex moved to the communication station. He opened a wideband channel so every Krillin ship in the system could hear. Then he spoke in a calm, measured voice. Attention, Krillin Fleet. This is Ambassador Alex Turner, of the Earth Diplomatic Corps. The vessels you are seeing are the 1st through 11th battle fleets of the Earth Defense Force. Each fleet consists of 20 to 30 capital ships plus support vessels. You are now facing over 300 human warships in addition to the 7th Fleet you have been engaging. He paused to let that sink in. I need to make something clear. The 7th Expeditionary Fleet is not our main military force. They are a patrol group. A single patrol group? You have been fighting 12 ships and losing. Now you face the full response of Earth's military. I strongly suggest you reconsider your position. Silence followed his words. Then the Krillin fleet erupted in chaos. War leader Thornak turned to Vaxthor. High Sentinel, sensor data is confirmed. We are detecting 287 new human vessels. They are moving into position around us. Around us? Vaxthor stood. Show me. The tactical display updated. The new human fleets were not approaching from one direction. They were coming from all sides, forming a sphere around the Krillin armada. North, south, east, west, above, below. Every possible escape route was being blocked. They are surrounding us, Thornak said unnecessarily. Vaxthor watched the display with a feeling he had not experienced in decades. Fear. Pure, cold fear. The Krillin Empire had conquered the galaxy through overwhelming force. Now they were the ones being overwhelmed. How is this possible? He asked. Intelligence said humans were a minor species, barely spacefaring. Intelligence was wrong, High Sentinel. Obviously. Vaxthor's three eyes tracked the human ships as they moved into position. Every movement was precise, coordinated. They knew exactly what they were doing. How long until they complete the encirclement? 20 minutes at their current speed. And we cannot escape in that time? No, High Sentinel. They are faster than us. If we attempt to run, they will intercept us easily. Vaxthor sat back down. He needed to think, needed to find a way out of this disaster. But every option he considered ended the same way. His fleet destroyed. His career ended. His people humiliated. One of his subordinate commanders called over the fleet network. High Sentinel, what are your orders? Should we prepare to engage the new forces? What could he say? Fight? They would be slaughtered. Run? They would be caught. Surrender? The thought made him sick, but what choice remained? Admiral Nicole Spencer commanded the first fleet from her flagship, the EDS Justice. She was 60 years old with white hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She had fought in 4 wars and won them all. This would be her finest moment. Status report, she ordered. All fleets in position, Admiral. The sphere is complete. Krillin fleet is contained. Good. Open a channel to Admiral Morrison first. Let's coordinate. Jake's face appeared on her view screen. He looked tired but relieved. Nicole, he said. Good timing. We came as fast as we could. Sorry we couldn't get here sooner. Are your people okay? Bruised but functional. We held them off, so I see. Impressive work, Jake. Your after-action report is going to make interesting reading. If we survive to write it. What's your plan? I'm going to offer them terms. If they're smart, they'll take them. If not, well, we have enough firepower here to turn their fleet into scrap metal. Captain Greg Matthews commanded the battlecruiser EDS Resolute, one of Nicole's heavy hitters. His ship alone was twice the size of anything in the Krillin fleet, with enough weapons to level a city. He ran his final pre-battle checks out of habit, even though he hoped there would be no more battle today. All systems green, his executive officer reported. Railguns charged. Missiles loaded. Shields at maximum. Good, stand ready but hold fire. Let's see if they want to keep fighting or not. Across the human fleet, similar scenes played out. Captains prepared their ships. Crews manned their stations. Everyone was ready for whatever came next. The difference was they were not afraid. They had already proven they could win this fight. Now they were just finishing it. Lieutenant Maya Brooks handled communications for the First Fleet. She was young, only 27, but she had a voice that carried authority when needed. Right now, she was preparing to deliver a message that would be heard across the galaxy. Admiral Spencer, all channels are open. We're broadcasting on every frequency. Everyone in this system is hearing this. And our signal is being relayed to the FTL network. The galaxy is listening. Perfect, Nicole said. She sat in her command chair and composed her thoughts. Then she nodded. Begin transmission. Maya opened the channel. Nicole's face appeared on every screen in the system. Human ships, Krillin ships, New Haven's orbital stations. Everyone watched. This is Admiral Nicole Spencer, Commander of the Earth Defense Force First Fleet. I am addressing the Krillin Imperial Fleet currently in the Zephyros system. Her voice was calm and hard. For 300 years, your empire has spread across the galaxy like a plague. You have conquered dozens of species, destroyed civilizations, enslaved populations. You have bullied and murdered and stolen, all while claiming it was your right as the strong. She paused, letting her words sink in. Today, you tried to add humanity to your list of victims. You came to our space with 300 ships threatening to burn our colony. You attacked our patrol fleet expecting an easy victory. Instead, you learned that humans do not die easily. 12 ships held you off, hurt you, made you bleed, and now you face 300 of our ships. The strong are not as strong as they thought. In his command chamber, Vaxthor watched the transmission with a feeling of doom. She was right. All of it was right. The Empire had grown arrogant. They had forgotten that power without wisdom led to disaster. Now that disaster was here. Nicole continued. I could destroy your fleet right now. Every ship. Every life. It would be easy. But humanity did not come to this system to commit genocide. We came to stop you from committing it against us. So I will offer you one chance. One opportunity to avoid complete destruction. She leaned forward in her chair. Power down your weapons. Lower your shields. Surrender your fleet to human custody. You will be given fair treatment under galactic law. Your crews will be returned to Krillin space. Your government will withdraw from all conquered territories and submit to a tribunal to answer for your crimes. If you do this, you will live. If you refuse, we will show you what 12 human ships did to you multiplied by 25. The transmission ended. Silence fell across space. Vaxthor looked at his officers. They looked back at him. No one spoke. What was there to say? They were beaten and everyone knew it. Open a channel to the human fleet, Vaxthor said quietly. I wish to speak with Admiral Spencer. When the channel opened, Vaxthor saw the human admiral looking at him with an expression he could not quite read. Contempt? Pity both? I am High Sentinel Vaxthor, he said. His voice sounded tired even to his own ears. I have commanded the Krillin Imperial Fleet for 20 years. I have won 50 battles. I have never surrendered. There is a first time for everything, Nicole said. Yes, there is. Vaxthor straightened in his throne, trying to maintain some dignity. I accept your terms. The Krillin fleet will stand down, but I have a question first. Ask. The surrender process took 6 hours. 6 long hours of watching Krillin ships power down their weapons, lower their shields, and submit to human inspections. Admiral Nicole Spencer ran the operation with military precision. Boarding parties from her fleet moved ship to ship, verifying compliance and ensuring no tricks. Captain Greg Matthews led one of those boarding parties. He took 20 Marines with him onto a Krillin battlecruiser. The corridors were dark and cold. The Krillin crew stood in formation, weapons laid on the deck, their three-eyed faces showing a mixture of shame and fear. Commander, Greg said to the ship's captain, my people will be inspecting your vessel. Cooperate fully and no one gets hurt. Understood? The Krillin commander nodded. Understood. We will comply. Greg's Marines spread through the ship, checking weapons bays, engineering sections, and command systems. Everything was as it should be. The Krillins were keeping their word. Greg found that almost sad. These soldiers thought they were serving a great empire. Now they were prisoners of a species they had dismissed as primitives just hours ago. On the Constellation, medics worked overtime treating the wounded. The battle had been brutal. 43 crew members injured. 3 critical. Dr. Helen Price, the ship's chief medical officer, moved from patient to patient with practiced efficiency. Keep pressure on that wound, she told a young ensign who had been hit by shrapnel. You're going to be fine. You'll have a nice scar to show your friends. The ensign tried to smile. Will it impress girls, Doc? Depends on the girl. Now hold still. In engineering, Kate Sullivan surveyed the damage to her beloved ship. Hull breaches on 5 decks, 2 railgun batteries destroyed, power conduits burned out, control panels melted. It would take weeks to repair everything properly. We look like we got run through a meat grinder, her assistant said. Yeah, but we're still flying, Kate replied. That's what matters. Start making a list. We'll fix everything once we get back to base. Jake Morrison stood alone in his ready room, staring out the window at the stars. He felt drained, exhausted, relieved, angry. A dozen emotions fighting for space in his head. He had kept 300 Krillin ships at bay with 12 human vessels. He should feel proud. Instead, he just felt tired. The door chimed. Come in, he said. Lisa Grant entered. She looked as tired as he felt. The fleet wants to know if we're standing down to yellow alert. Yes. Maintain standard patrols, but let everyone rest. They earned it. Lisa nodded, then hesitated. Jake, what we did today. That will change everything. The galaxy will never look at humans the same way again. I know. Does that worry you? Yes, power brings responsibility. Now everyone will expect us to play the hero, to protect the weak, to stop the bad guys, That's a heavy burden, but we can carry it, Lisa said. Today proved that, Jake smiled slightly. I hope you're right. Across the system, Maya Brooks worked her communication station with intense focus. The battle had been broadcast live across the FTL network. Now the responses were flooding in from every corner of the galaxy. She read through them, categorizing by priority. Admiral Spencer, she called. You need to see these messages. Nicole walked over. What do we have? Messages from 73 different species. Most are asking for protection from the Krillin Empire. Some are offering alliance. A few are asking if humans will help liberate their worlds. Nicole read through several messages. One was from a species called the Vorlin. The Krillins had conquered their homeworld 15 years ago. The message was simple. Please help us. We have waited so long for someone strong enough to stand against the Empire. Another message came from the Talvin Collective. They had been fighting a border war with the Krillins for decades. We saw what you did. We want to join your side. Together we can free the galaxy. Nicole felt the weight of those words. Every species that had suffered under Krillin rule now looked to humanity for salvation. It was flattering. It was terrifying. It was exactly what she had feared would happen. Send a standard response to all of them, she said. Tell them Earth is committed to galactic peace and justice. Tell them we will work with the Galactic Council to address the Krillin situation, but make it clear we are not building an empire of our own. Yes, Admiral. On the Eternal Dominion, Vaxthor sat alone in his chamber. His officers had completed the surrender protocol. His ships were dead in space, weapons cold, shields down. Everything he had built, every victory he had won meant nothing now. A communication came through from Krillin High Command. He accepted it with dread. The Supreme Chancellor appeared on the screen. She was old, her purple skin faded with age, but her 3 eyes burned with anger. Explain yourself, High Sentinel. Explain how you lost an entire armada to a primitive species. They were not primitive, Supreme Chancellor. We were wrong about them. Very wrong. Wrong? Her voice dripped with contempt. You had 300 ships. They had 12. How is that wrong? Because those 12 ships fought like 300. And then 300 more arrived. We were outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched. I had no choice but to surrender. You always have a choice. You chose cowardice. Vaxthor felt anger rise in his chest. I chose to save my crews. If we had kept fighting, every ship would have been destroyed. Every life lost, for nothing. I made the right choice. The right choice? The Chancellor leaned forward. The Krillin Empire has never surrendered. You have shamed us all. The Krillin Empire has never faced humanity. Perhaps it is time we learned humility. You will return home to face judgment. The Council will decide your fate. The transmission ended. Vaxthor knew what judgment meant. Execution, most likely, or exile if he was lucky. He found he did not care much either way. He had lived his whole life believing the Empire was invincible. Today that belief had died. Nothing else seemed to matter. Ryan Hughes sat at his station running post-battle analysis. His electronic warfare systems had gathered massive amounts of data during the fight. Now he was sorting through it, looking for patterns and lessons. Interesting, he muttered. What's interesting? Asked the officer next to him. The Krillin communication protocols. They're surprisingly advanced in some ways, but completely vulnerable in others. They never expected anyone to attack their networks the way we did. They had no countermeasures prepared. Will they learn from this? Oh, definitely. Next time we fight them, if there is a next time, they'll be ready for cyber warfare. But that's the thing about war. Both sides learn. Both sides adapt. The question is who learns faster. Chris Palmer landed his damaged fighter in the Constellation's hangar. The landing was rough. His remaining engine sputtered and died as soon as he touched down. Maintenance crews swarmed the craft immediately, assessing damage. Chris climbed out of the cockpit slowly. His entire body ached. Flying a fighter in combat was physically demanding. Flying a damaged fighter was brutal. He had pulled high-G maneuvers for hours. His muscles screamed in protest. Commander Palmer? One of his pilots approached. All of Ghostwing made it back. Nobody lost. That's because of you. That's because of all of us, Chris corrected. We fly together. We survive together. Still. Thank you, sir. Chris nodded. He was too tired to say more. He just wanted to sleep for about 12 hours. Ambassador Alex Turner prepared his official report on the battle. This would go directly to Earth's government and the Galactic Council. It needed to be precise, accurate, and diplomatic. He wrote, The engagement in the Zephyros system represents a turning point in galactic relations. Humanity has demonstrated both military capability and restraint. We defeated a superior force but offered mercy instead of destruction. This approach aligns with Earth's core values while establishing our position as a major power. However, we must be cautious. Many species will now seek our protection. We cannot fight every battle or right every wrong. Earth must choose its commitments carefully to avoid overextension. He paused, then added a final note. Admiral Morrison and his fleet deserve the highest commendation. They held impossible odds through courage, skill, and determination. They represent the best of humanity. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session within hours of the battle's end. Representatives from 40 different species gathered via holographic link to discuss what had happened. The Talvan representative spoke first. We must acknowledge the significance of Earth's actions. A new power has emerged, one strong enough to challenge the Krillin Empire. A representative from the Yoth Confederacy responded. Or we should be concerned. Humanity showed overwhelming force today. What stops them from becoming the next empire? They offered mercy, the Talvan argued. They could have destroyed the Krillin fleet but chose not to. That speaks to their character, or their strategy. Perhaps they simply want to appear benevolent while they build power. The debate continued for hours. Some species saw humanity as saviors. Others saw potential threats. A few remained neutral, waiting to see what humans would do next. But everyone agreed on one thing. The galaxy had changed today. On New Haven, the colonists celebrated. They had been hours from annihilation. Now they were safe, protected by ships they had never even known existed. Children played in the streets. Parents hugged each other in relief. The colonial governor sent a message of thanks to the fleet. 3 weeks after the battle, Ambassador Claire Watson stood before the Galactic Council. She was 55 years old with gray hair pulled back in a practical bun and sharp eyes that had negotiated treaties on a dozen worlds. Today, she would shape Earth's future in the galaxy. The council chamber was enormous, with representatives from nearly every spacefaring species arranged in a great circle. Claire stood at the center, feeling the weight of thousands of eyes on her. Some looked at her with hope, others with suspicion, all with respect they had not shown Earth before. The council chairman, a being from the ancient Pelthon Dominion, spoke first. Ambassador Watson, the council recognizes Earth and requests a statement regarding the incident in the Zephyros system. Claire took a breath. Thank you, Chairman. I will speak plainly. Earth did not seek conflict with the Krillin Empire. We attempted diplomatic solutions first. We were ignored. When they threatened our colony with 300 warships, we responded with the minimum force necessary to protect our people. 12 ships held them until reinforcements arrived. She paused, letting that sink in. Minimum force. 12 ships. The message was clear. Humanity had been holding back. The reinforcements came not to start a war but to end one. We surrounded the Krillin fleet and offered terms. Surrender and face justice or be destroyed. They chose surrender. We accepted. No unnecessary bloodshed. No revenge, just justice. A representative from the Vorlon spoke up. His species had suffered under Krillin rule for 15 years. Ambassador Watson, your fleet saved countless lives by stopping the Krillin advance. But many worlds still suffer under their occupation. Will Earth help liberate them? Claire had prepared for this question. Earth supports the liberation of all occupied worlds. However, we will not act unilaterally. We will work with the Galactic Council to develop a comprehensive plan. Liberation must come through cooperation, not through Earth imposing its will. Another representative challenged her. But Earth has the military power to free those worlds now. Why wait? Because power without wisdom leads to tyranny. We saw what happened when the Krillins believed their military strength gave them the right to conquer others. Earth will not make the same mistake. We are strong, yes, but we choose to use that strength in service of galactic law, not above it. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Some praised Claire's words. Others argued that Earth was being too cautious. The debate continued for hours, but eventually a resolution emerged. The council would establish a joint task force to address the Krillin occupation. Earth would provide military support, but under council authority. Other species would contribute as well. It would be a truly galactic effort. Claire felt satisfied as she left the chamber. Earth had gained respect without becoming feared. That was the balance they needed to maintain. Back on Earth, Captain Steve Collins prepared his intelligence report for military command. He worked in a small office in Earth Defense Headquarters, surrounded by data screens and classified files. His job was to assess threats and opportunities. The Zephyros battle had created both. "Analysis complete," he said to his supervisor. "The strategic situation has changed dramatically." "How so?" the supervisor asked. Steve brought up a star map showing the local galactic region. Before the battle, Earth was considered a minor power. Now we're recognized as a major military force. That changes everything. Some species will seek alliance with us. Others will fear us and potentially band together against us. The Krillin Empire is weakened but not destroyed. They'll likely seek revenge once they rebuild. What do you recommend? We need to be proactive but careful. Build alliances with species who share our values. Continue developing our military capabilities. Most importantly, prove that our strength serves the greater good. If we become just another empire, we'll face the same fate as the Krillins eventually. Someone stronger will come along and humble us. The supervisor nodded. Send your report to the Joint Chiefs. They'll want to see this. On the repaired Constellation, Jake Morrison prepared to leave his quarters for the ceremony. The ship had spent 3 weeks at New Haven's orbital repair facility. Now it looked almost new, with fresh hull plating and fully functioning systems. Kate Sullivan and her engineering team had worked miracles to get everything operational again. Jake adjusted his dress uniform and looked at himself in the mirror. He looked older than he had a month ago. Gray hair seemed grayer. Lines around his eyes seemed deeper. War did that to a person even when you won. Lisa Grant met him in the corridor. She was also in dress uniform, medals pinned to her chest. "Ready for this?" she asked. "No, but let's do it anyway." They walked to the shuttle bay together. The ceremony was being held on New Haven's surface in the capital city's main plaza. Thousands of colonists would be there, news crews from across the galaxy, politicians and military brass from Earth. Jake hated ceremonies, but he understood why this one mattered. The shuttle ride down was quiet. Jake looked out the window at New Haven below. Orange sky, green fields, small cities scattered across the landscape. It looked peaceful now. 3 weeks ago, it had been hours from burning. The plaza was packed. 10,000 people stood in the morning sun, waiting. A stage had been constructed with flags from Earth and New Haven. Military personnel lined up in formation. Jake saw his entire fleet crew there, all in dress uniforms, standing proud. As Jake stepped onto the stage, the crowd erupted in applause. It lasted 5 minutes. People cheered and cried and waved flags. Jake felt uncomfortable with the attention, but he smiled and waved back. These people were alive because of what his fleet had done. They deserved to celebrate. Governor Patricia Hayes of New Haven took the podium first. She was a woman in her 60s who had led the colony for 10 years. Her voice carried across the plaza through speakers. 3 weeks ago, we faced extinction. A massive armada came to destroy us. We sent out a distress call, not knowing if anyone would answer. Then Admiral Morrison and the 7th Fleet arrived. 12 ships against 300. Everyone told them to wait for backup. They didn't wait. They stood between us and annihilation. She turned to Jake. "Admiral Morrison, you and your fleet are heroes. New Haven will remember what you did for us forever. We have declared this day Morrison Day, to be celebrated every year in honor of the fleet that saved us." More applause. Jake shifted uncomfortably. He didn't want a day named after him, but he nodded his thanks. Next came Admiral Nicole Spencer. She had flown in from Earth just for this ceremony. She stood at the podium with military bearing. Admiral Morrison, Commander Grant, and all personnel of the 7th Fleet. By order of Earth Defense Command, you are hereby awarded the Star of Valor for extraordinary heroism in combat. Your actions exemplify the highest traditions of military service. You held impossible odds. You protected innocent lives. You proved that humanity deserves its place among the stars. Officers came forward to pin medals on Jake and his senior staff. Each member of the fleet would receive one. Jake felt the weight of the medal on his chest. It was just metal and ribbon, but it represented something important. Recognition, respect, proof that they had done something that mattered. Chris Palmer stood in formation with his fighter pilots. His Ghost Wing had been awarded a unit citation. Every pilot would get a medal. He felt proud but also sad. They had lost good people in the battle. 3 pilots had died when their damaged fighters couldn't make it back to the carrier. Their names would be added to memorials. Their families would receive flags, It was not enough, but it was all they could offer. In the crowd, a young Krillin cadet named Zareth watched the ceremony with fascination. He had been on one of the surrendered ships, a junior officer fresh from the academy. Now he was technically a prisoner, though the humans treated prisoners well. He had permission to attend the ceremony as an observer. Zareth watched Jake Morrison accept his medal and thought about everything he had been taught at the Krillin Military Academy. They had taught him that the Empire was invincible, that other species were inferior, that strength gave you the right to take what you wanted. The battle had destroyed those beliefs. The Empire was not invincible, other species were not inferior, and strength without honor led to defeat. Zareth had spent the past 3 weeks studying human military doctrine, reading their history, trying to understand how they fought so effectively. What he learned surprised him. Humans were not the strongest species, not the fastest, not the most advanced, but they worked together better than anyone else. They protected each other. They never gave up. Those qualities made them formidable. He wondered what the Krillin Empire would look like if it adopted such values. Would they still be an empire? Or would they become something better? The ceremony continued with speeches from various officials. Jake endured them all with patience. Finally, they asked him to speak. He approached the podium reluctantly and looked out at the crowd. "I'm not good at speeches," he began. "I'm a soldier, not a politician. But I want to say something important. What happened here was not about one fleet or one battle. It was about a choice. When faced with tyranny, we could have backed down. We could have waited. We could have let others fight our battles. We didn't. We chose to stand up, to fight back, to protect what matters.